Good morning. I'm Sandra Arevalo, and I'm the Director of Community Health and Wellness at Montefiore Nyack, doing community chats. So today we're going to be talking about Parkinson's disease, the importance of movement and therapy, and how we can help people with Parkinson's and anything that we want to know about Parkinson's. And who do we have here? Nobody less than really two experts. And one of them is Susan Lost, ladies first, and she's the director for the Parkinson's Wellness Project. And if you're wondering what that is, because it's the first time that you'll hear about that, she's going to be explaining what it is, obviously. And I have to say, I'm a fan of the PWP because I just recently learned about it. And I know that Susan is very proactive trying to help all patients with Parkinson's in Rockland and outside Rockland and everyone really. So I'm excited that she's here to teach us more about that. And then, believe it or not, we have Alex Stresser here, who's also a very experienced person with Parkinson's, and he's also going to be sharing all that expertise with us. So without further ado, I'm just gonna remind you to please send comments and questions. You know, this is your space, so take advantage. And Susan, do you want to say anything about you? Let's start with you. How did you get into this? And obviously, you want to tell us about the Parkinson's Wellness Project.
Thank you for having us, Sandra. And we would like to know a little bit about the people who we're talking to, if they have Parkinson's, if they're care partners, if they're diagnosed. So maybe they'll write into the chat right now and Sandra can let us know, just so Alex and I understand who we're talking to a little bit. I do not have an interesting story about why I'm involved with Parkinson's disease. Basically, I love to move. As Alex knows, I'm a little like hyper. And when I see people that cannot move, it makes me want to help them. So I am a movement dance therapist. I was a dancer early on in my life and did a lot of other things, but then came back to it and met a wonderful woman who had Parkinson's disease. And I researched it and found out that there is a connection between movement, dance, music, and PD. And so I studied it. And for the last 12 years, I've been teaching people with Parkinson's disease. But what I found out is that, and you'll see when you meet Alex, is that people with Parkinson's disease, I think, are I don't want to use this word special because that has another connotation, but I think they're really focused, curious, overachiever type people who are not going to stand for this disease. And all the people that I worked with were always researching things because there was very little information out there 15 years ago. So we started an organization called the Parkinson's Wellness Project. We're based in Rockland County, but because of COVID, also we have a bigger reach. Actually, somebody just came to Alex's class from Poland who found us on the internet. And so we help people with educational events, which we're having today, Thursday, at the Crown Plaza Hotel between 5 and 7 p.m. And Sandra will be there also. We have a wellness expo from 5 to 6 with people. You'll meet great doctors, great exhibitors, all who have something to do with PD. And we are also live streaming it. So you'll be able to come into that too. It is a free event. And from 6 to 7, we have two fantastic doctors who will be speaking on a panel about hope on the horizon. But let me just say, one of the very big important things that we do is that we have an exercise program. And thankfully, one of the good things that came out of COVID is that I met Alex over the internet. And he's an amazing dancer, an amazing dance teacher, a wonderful coach. And we spoke, we hit it off, and I said, let's do some Zoom classes together. Well, he's been teaching with us, I think it's like almost 3 years now.
Yeah.
3 years now. And I'm going to give Alex a little time to explain where he's coming from and what he's about.
Now?
Now,
Okay.
take it away.
Well, I came to Parkinson's by accident. I was diagnosed in 2007 after having gone through a couple of years of uncertainty, a surgery, which I didn't need, and being a former dancer, I was at the time a ballet master in a big center in Manhattan, Steps on Broadway, and I realized that there may be something I can do to help myself as a former dancer. Because you hear the words like movement disorder, but to somebody who'd just been diagnosed, it means absolutely nothing. Because if you're not a professional dancer, movement and disorder, you don't know which comes first. And why should I get it? Because you just see people with a little bit of tremble here and there, and they probably have Parkinson's. But beyond that, I knew literally nothing. I got diagnosed on Fifth Avenue neurologist office on the east side. And by the time I got to the west side, because I had to walk across the park, I left Parkinson's on the east side. I just said to myself, I have to go teach class right now. I have to look well. This is bad news, but I don't really know anything about it. And I basically started researching, developing technique of my own to help people who have no dance experience, not athletic. They know, just like me, knew nothing about it. And I figured out a way over the course of several years, what and how I can help these people and help myself in the process.
Right. I think that also Alex's optimistic approach to this, the fact that he got diagnosed, right? And then he said, sayonara, I am dealing with this, I am, you're a fighter, and this was not something you were just going to sit at home alone.
No, no, you have to, when you hear words like this, you have Parkinson's, it's incurable, all sorts of things, there's just barrage of new information in your head and you can't decipher it. And that's why neurologists, as good as they are, they're having a hard time with it because everybody's slightly different. Someone has a leg problem, someone has an arm problem, someone can't lift their shoulders, somebody's neck is stuck. So when you see this amount of diversity in Parkinson's people, you realize just how complex it is. And I didn't think I would be able to help anybody or other than myself because it requires an enormous amount of discipline, which most people simply don't have.
We're going to get to that discipline talk in a minute, but going back to what you just said, is that everybody's unique when they get Parkinson's. There's a big stigma that surrounds this disease. People don't want to tell people. And what you said is everybody's unique. So they experience the Parkinson's in their own unique way. Well, people are afraid of coming out in the public. They don't want to be with other people with Parkinson's disease because they say in their mind, I don't want to look like him. I don't want to look like her. I'm going to look like that.
No, thank you.
Right?
Yeah,
but
it's part of it. It's definitely part of it. And the most troubling thing is that, again, we don't get enough information. When somebody says to you, you should exercise, and then the conversation stops. There's no further information coming, not even from your doctor sometimes or anybody who's had it, because people literally don't know or didn't know. There's much more information available now. And that's when you have to carve your own path, like what kind of exercise. So I just started experimenting. I wasn't in terrible shape, but I was about 20 pounds heavier when I got diagnosed. I was a middle-aged ballet master who would just speak with a Russian accent and tell everybody what to do. And they would do it because,
they were scared of you.
That's right.
You're always scared of your ballet master.
Exactly. We have a reputation for scaring
They're going to come with their stick. I remember they hit you with a stick.
Yeah, that's why they passed all those laws.
Right.
So we can't touch anybody.
Right. So what kind of things did you come up with for the class?
Well, it took a number of years because, professional dancer can give a lot of combinations or movements that nobody would know. They probably hurt themselves immediately and never come back to a class. So you have to distill it to a level that everybody can do it, everybody can understand it, You don't want to talk too much during class. You just want to show what they're going to do and repeat it enough times so they can memorize it, then they can follow, and it becomes second nature. By week 2, everybody's into it, everybody's happy, and it's not intimidating. They look forward to the movement, the music, the atmosphere, and that's when you have ultimate success, when everybody's getting something that will help them with their condition.
Now, why should people exercise? These are, you and I have been exercising and dancing all our lives, but people who are diagnosed with PD usually, sometimes, and most likely, have not exercised, and they don't even think about exercising. So why should they?
Well, for one thing, they'll have to get a new wardrobe.
All those leggings and
Yeah.
t-shirts.
Yeah, all
right?
those baggy shirts are gonna go. All of a sudden, you trim yourself. You're stronger. I mean, I'm certainly much stronger now than I was in 2007 when I got diagnosed, because I live and die by my workouts, technique, whatever I teach people. I have to practice it on myself, because movement disorder is such a broad spectrum of things you could do. You have to focus it, narrow it down for the people you're working with.
Right. So you in the class, we have Alex teaches a couple of classes a week. They're all over Zoom. You can go to our website, parkinsonswellnessproject.org, to check out our schedule. But also I want to tell people that Alex does also have his own website, pdonthemove.com. And what's great about his website is that he has his exercises that are there. You could pick and choose.
Yeah, any time of the day. If you have an insomnia, go on your computer, turn on a class, and start stretching or exercising.
Right. And they're short and they're fun, and he has a great sense of humor. I remember one of the videos that I saw of yours, you were doing it on walking, because people have a hard time with their walking. So one arm might get stiff. You started using a tennis ball.
Yeah, I used to, as a kid, I used to juggle. My mom was a professional juggler in the circus, so I picked it up as a kid. You're always bouncing something, and
We're gonna have a juggling class, by the way.
Okay, good.
Definitely.
So I noticed if my hands are occupied while I'm walking, my gait and balance disappears. It doesn't disappear because I want it to. It disappears because I'm not thinking about it. So the part of the brain that's damaged and preventing us from walking absolutely normally, all of a sudden gets shut off. The new signal has to pass through your system. You're squeezing tennis balls. You're not juggling really, but squeezing tennis balls and walking. All of a sudden, your walking is absolutely normal.
Right. So what you're saying is your brain, you have to talk to your brain and change the story. A lot of times people get stuck, right? You have to change the story.
Yeah, you have to fool your brain.
Mhm.
You have to
Right.
redirect the weak signal from your brain that's having a hard time reaching your foot. Because if you think of it, that's the longest distance we have from the brain to the foot.
Right.
So
Especially Alex, as he's 6'2".
so by the time that signal gets to your foot, it's too weak and the foot doesn't really move. And I see that a lot. And I say to people constantly, move your feet, strengthen your feet.
Right.
Without that balance in your legs, without the strength in your legs, PD is much more complicated.
That reminds me, today at the expo from 5 to 6, we have a Dr. Catherine Ward, who is a podiatrist from Crystal Run, and she'll be there. And I think feet are your foundation. That's how we get around.
Yeah.
So what Alex does in the class is he works on the feet a lot. Even when you sit in a chair, just rotating your ankles, flexing and pointing. These are things that, an ordinary person wouldn't think about. You have to get a dancer to tell you these things,
Well, you have to be, yeah. It helps if you were a dancer, let's say, jazz, ballet, it doesn't make any difference. And then you apply those techniques because you know your body so well. My foot is not moving. I have to strengthen it. And then it's sort of intuitive healing of yourself that you have to arrive at these ideas on your own. But of course, your background as a professional dancer certainly helps.
Well, what I want to say, there's the baby
cute.
deer. We just saw a little Bambi running by the window. But anyway, you have to do something that you love, because exercise is something you have to do every day. So you don't want to make yourself do something you don't like, because then you're not going to do it. So you have to find something you love to do.
Yeah.
If it's biking, if it's swimming. Somebody said to me, I love swimming and I feel so good when I get out of the water. So that's what she should do. Somebody loves biking. They have their stationary bike or they have the bike outdoors. We have boxing classes. Were you gonna
Yeah.
say something?
No, I'm
Yeah.
listening.
What other things do you like to do?
Oh my God.
Well, you're a big
Jogging
hiker.
is a little difficult because the gait imbalance, it affects your skeletal system and you get all these aches and pains. So you have to get a massage therapist, a chiropractor, which
Physical
oversees-
therapist.
yes, psychiatrist. No, maybe not psychiatrist.
No, everybody
Yeah.
needs one of those.
So yeah, the thing is, if you can't walk, you can climb stairs. If you can't climb stairs, you can use machines that are like astronaut training facilities where you can move your arms and legs, isolate. There's so much stuff available. You need to be directed sometimes as to how to use certain machines, but there's always something you can do. The key is, and I always bring it back to that, is discipline.
Yeah.
You have to trust that what you're doing is going to work for you. And it may take a few weeks, a month or two, but once you start getting the results, once your wardrobe is changing, your waistline is visible again, you're standing upright, your chin is up, that's when you understand that you're doing something good for yourselves. And then you have to just stay with it. There's no day off with Parkinson's.
Oh, that's true. There's no day off with Parkinson's. This is something that it's given to you as you could look at it in many different ways.
It's a challenge.
We know people like you, for one, who took your Parkinson's and you did something with it. You repurposed your life in a way.
Yeah.
He built this amazing website with his wife. He's been teaching in many different places. We're just one of the places, teaches privately. So you kind of took the bull by the horns and repurposed.
Well, because Parkinson's is the bull.
Yeah.
And it will hurt you very badly.
Right.
You just have to stay ahead of it and not give it so much time.
Yeah.
To destroy your life. You have to be active, proactive, disciplined, and it's not just exercise. I mean, we have to touch on the fact that if you're not eating right, which in this country is actually
Very hard to do.
very difficult to do with the amount of
Sugar.
well, just processed food that's available.
Right.
You should stay away from all of that because your diet can be 70% of your success.
So in the fall, we're doing a special nutrition program called Nourish Your Health with a specialist in Parkinson's, a dietitian nutritionist. We'll be doing it over Zoom, so anybody can come from anywhere. It's going to be a week, like I think a 4-week webinar. And really, what you said, if you can't pronounce the words that are on the package, don't eat it. And anything that's fresh vegetables and fresh fruits and smaller amounts of protein that are more like fish and turkey and chicken.
And also cut down the size of your meals. I mean,
Right.
they don't have to be, you don't have to put so much food in your mouth. Your
Right.
body just can't process it fast enough.
Right.
And when we are a little bit hungry all the time, that's when our symptoms become very manageable.
Did you hear what he just said? This is very important. It's good to be a little bit hungry. The symptoms aren't as bad.
Yeah, you get used to it. And then you
Mhm.
look in the mirror and you see that you're looking well. You begin to understand that maybe I'm doing something right and maybe I should stick with it and not follow the trends or TV ads about food that if you can't pronounce it, you shouldn't eat it. That's
Right.
for sure.
Right. And the other very important point is less stress.
Yes.
Less stress in your life.
Like driving long distance.
Right. That wasn't stressful for you. That was easy, right? So there are all sorts of different situations that people are in that cause different stress. So there's that mindful approach to just being in the present moment and focusing really helps. Staying positive. We've heard doctors tell us that somebody with a positive attitude, like I think you're a great example, their medicine works better than people. Don't quote me on this. This is not like research, but I've heard doctors say this. Somebody with a positive attitude versus a negative attitude is usually much happier and better.
Yeah, they work together. Good food, good humor, positive thinking, exercise, staying fit, staying active. That's another thing.
Right.
Because some people's hands drop when they hear Parkinson's, they just go, I'm doomed, I'm
Right.
done.
Right. So that's what we want to do. We want to break the stigma. We want people to say, okay, I got this diagnosis, I'm going to deal with it rather than go sit in a corner and get depressed. First of all, depression and apathy and lack of motivation happens to be a symptom of the disease. You don't get depressed because, oh, I have Parkinson's, I'm depressed. It goes along with the lack of dopamine. So exercise will help you fight that.
Absolutely. Surround yourself with people that are sympathetic, understanding, where you can have a normal conversation about anything. And you don't have to live with Parkinson's all the time. You can let it fall into the background because you're busy, you're engaging, you're doing things that you haven't done in a long time. Pick up an old habit, listen to music more, take longer walks.
Music is key. I love what you just said, Alex, was that you could put Parkinson's in the background.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have to be your focal point all the time, you know?
Yeah, it's tiring.
Yeah, definitely. I think also a very key thing is music. A lot of people listen to music when they were younger. Go back to the music of your year when you were 12, 15, 16 years old. Play that music. You'll remember the songs, you'll start singing them, you'll connect to it, and you'll start feeling really good.
Yeah, and you'll remember how you used to be,
Mhm,
which should be a happy memory, active,
mhm,
busy, in love, engaged,
mhm.
whatever. You can bring it back, you know. We're not an isolated island. We should just express ourselves to the world again and get what we want out of it and give something back to your friends, to people you love, to people you know.
You know, you met Nenad Bach, the famous Croatian singer-songwriter who was at our event in October a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
So he's a perfect example also, like yourself. He was a well-known singer-songwriter. He told me once he was grateful for having Parkinson's because it slowed him down so he could do more. So you know what he does now? He started an organization called Ping Pong Parkinson. He plays ping pong. He has a whole big group in Westchester. He is starting franchises all around the country, all around the world. There are ping pong championships, but he started this. He also said, not going to sit back here. I'm going to do something about this. He's an example. We have a lot of interesting people who are finding themselves in a new way with PD.
Can we go back a little, and Alex, and you can tell us about when you were first diagnosed. You said that you didn't really know much about Parkinson's and all of that. So how was that journey of finding the information? What did you learn back then?
Well, I mean, there are lots of books available and were available in 2007. What I found a little bit depressing about reading those books is that literally on every page, they remind you that there is no cure.
Mm.
And when you hear that, you begin to understand that either these people are not telling you the whole thing, or you try to find the pages where you can make yourself better. And the information is so broad and so spread out. It becomes not very personal to you and how you feel at the moment. It's just, this is what's going to happen. You're not going to die from Parkinson's. You're going to die with Parkinson's. Another depressing thought. So if you can look past all that And at the time I had to, because I just really didn't know what to do. I just did what naturally occurs for somebody who's a former athlete, is that you try to get better and stronger any way you can. And it worked. I mean, it worked for me. And then I tell everybody that if you're not disciplined, if you're not eating right, if you don't watch your stress, nothing good will happen. And so it scares some people. So, oh, I have to do all that, because if you could take a pill, it'd be great. We have pills, we have medications, but they don't do anything to get rid of Parkinson's. They just kind of mask the symptoms for a period of time, 2 hours,
Right.
3 hours.
Right.
So, yeah, it was just an aggressive part of me wanting to be better, feel better, look better. And I found that it's possible. You can push Parkinson's way in the background.
Mhm.
Well, you've done a lot since you found out you have Parkinson's.
Yeah,
You started a family.
yeah.
Would you tell them? I'm getting personal here with Alex. I hope he doesn't
I
mind.
don't know if I would recommend it for everyone. Because it takes a lot, if anybody's had a baby out there, they grow up so fast, and sometimes you feel like, well, they also don't grow up fast enough.
Right.
I want to go out and play, but yeah, I have two wonderful kids and a supporting wife and grandparents, so I'm very fortunate in all those respects.
And how old are your kids?
3.5 years old, Beast, the girl, and 4 months old boy.
Wow, 4 months? Wow.
Yeah, learning how to defend himself against his sister.
Oh,
We bought him a helmet already.
Right. So that puts PD in the background, as you could see. There's a perfect example. And people who are older, who have grandchildren, it's like, get involved with your families, get involved with your grandkids. They need you. There's nothing like a grandparent. I mean, so, and little kids love to be with their grandparents so much.
Yeah, because they get all the ice cream they can eat.
Exactly, right. Just you don't eat it. Let them eat it.
and,
Right.
and Susan, you mentioned earlier that there is a lot of stigma around Parkinson's too, and that there are some people who don't leave the house, that are scared. I don't know if scared is the right word, but they don't want to be seen. Why is that? And I'm sure that you heard the stories. So,
Because I think it scares some people. You see somebody trembling walking down the street, and it has an effect on you. And people notice the glances that they get from people, from the crowds, and it hurts them personally, because there's nothing wrong with them other than Parkinson's. But some people think that you're drunk or you're on drugs, or and that picture in your head, you'd rather stay home and not have to face it. And it's completely understandable.
Right. And when they go out, they'll say, "How are you?
Everybody's speaking slower to you.
Can you walk? Oh, you can walk."
Yeah.
So that's one reason why I think we exist. It's not just to educate people with PD, but it's to educate the community
around them.
how you can understand it.
Mhm.
So
I always think that there are two types of diseases, right? The ones you can see and the ones you can't. Like if I had some sort of cancer inside of me, nobody will be saying like, "Oh, how are you feeling today?" But if it's something physical in the exterior of my body, like the tremors and things like that, yes, it can cause that sort of panicking.
Yeah, you're embarrassed to show your side that Parkinson has created, and it gets worse, it progresses, and you have to fight it even harder. But it is difficult for some people to accept the fact that this is the way they're going to be or they're going to look. And, Michael J. Fox, who never hid his symptoms from anybody, maybe for the first few years when he got it, but his Parkinson's is very visible, but he's still out there. He's still trying to make a difference.
Very active.
And we have to be appreciative of that, because that's the reality of it for all to see.
Now, Alex, you also mentioned everybody has a different type of Parkinson's. Can you elaborate on that a little bit? Like, for example, you were able to dance, and this exercise has helped you cope with the PD, but what about other people? Does it
It's
apply
not
to
just,
everybody?
yeah, it's not necessarily different types of Parkinson's. It's just a different rate of progression and what parts of the body are affected by Parkinson's.
Some people, their voices are affected. Some people, they're more, have cognition issues. Some people are more stiff and you don't see tremors at all.
Hmm.
Some people are just plain tired.
Yeah, yeah.
And it could be chronic fatigue syndrome, it could be Parkinson's. But again, in that state, you don't want to go out. You know, I remember feeling that way too when I first got diagnosed. But I had to go teach class for like 30, 40 people every day.
Oh, so that was a big help for you.
Well,
That was you put,
either that or I walk in, look myself in the mirror, and just go home.
yeah,
Mhm.
right.
And no,
You have to
you
choose.
can't blame anybody for that. It is a new
Right.
you that you're not used to.
Right.
You know, what I'm taking from this is there are a lot of chronic diseases out there, and some people feel like ignoring them, it's a good treatment, you know, but you're not ignoring the Parkinson's. You're actually very much literally living with it, making sure that your life continues, that everything continues. You just have a 4-month-old baby, you know, obviously a young family and all of that. So it's amazing to see how you could have a disease that for many people could be devastating, and they literally just devastate and stop living. But there is hope, because look at you on how you have made Parkinson's just a part of your life, not your life, right?
Yeah, sometimes you have to get sick in order to feel good.
Mhm.
Because that kind of discipline is earned. It's not going to happen overnight. And I bring that word up in my conversation with people, that if they don't commit, I have a lot of private clients, if they don't commit to being active, proactive all the time, I cannot help them. I can't take their money. I can't, lead them in a path that's not going to work. You have to do this, this, and this. Trust me, you'll see the results, and then we'll talk.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah. How do you think, I understand the piece of movement and how movement helps obviously to reshape your muscles and your bones and keep healthy. What about the music? Do you have any idea how the music works in your brain to help you with the movement as well?
Parkinson's is almost like a rhythm disease. Either people are moving very, very fast or they're moving very, very slow.
Yeah.
So the rhythm in your head, you want to be able to use music to bring the rhythm to a balanced place. And music is so, so important. That's why we say, even when you're home and you're walking, like just marching music can just keep you moving to that music.
Yeah, and also a piece of music can unite you with your past when you were younger, when you didn't have Parkinson's, how you felt, what you were experiencing, and it's become like a nostalgic trip to the back where everything was normal. And you should capture those moments, because those moments still live inside of you, and they can affect your brain in a positive way by releasing a little more dopamine. Feeling good is a chemical process.
Right. And we do an exercise called a conducting exercise, where we take a beautiful piece of music, and a lot of times a symptom in Parkinson's is a masked face. So you might see somebody with PD and they won't respond with their face, they won't be smiling, or they won't be active in their face. So we take a piece of music, something that's familiar or just moves you, and you could close your eyes and just listen to the music, and you become the conductor. And you let your body move, and you express it in your face. You could even sing the songs, and you could do it in front of a mirror, and you could dance as with yourself as a partner, expressing yourself when nobody's looking, so you don't have to be embarrassed, but that will connect you more to a more focused, centered rhythm. And I hear that people feel a difference after they do that exercise.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's very interesting how everything is working really inside your brain.
yeah,
That's why the stories that you tell yourself are very important.
Mhm.
You can walk, you will have your balance, there are ways to get unstiff.
oh,
And
we
Yeah.
do it every day.
Yeah.
Susan, do you have any type of support also for caregivers?
We just started something new
Mhm.
with a wonderful psychologist here in the county. And it's very important for care partners to get together and talk. So we're doing something called living mindfully. And he is a psychologist, but he also practices this mindful approach. So it's helping people understand being in the present moment. And some of the things that come out of the group are care partners can be very angry. They don't want, they're so involved with somebody with Parkinson's, with their spouse, their loved one, and it's taking up their life. So there's a lot of anger around that. These exercises help you get in touch with that, and maybe there's sadness behind that.
Mhm.
So when you find out what your feelings are, this group has a lot to do with that, and it helps you focus more, understand what's going on. So we just started it. We're trying 2 more, and if it goes well, we will bring it over Zoom, because I see that it's hard for people to get out at the right time. So I'll let you know about that when we do it in the fall.
Yeah, that'll be great. I think that we often forget about the caregivers, and caregivers will put all their care on their loved one, and then caregivers forget about themselves a little, and nobody's really paying attention to the caregivers. So
Sandra, you heard the song that Arlen Bennett sang
yes, oh, I love it.
So he's going to be there today at our event,
Okay.
and he is going to be singing his song. We did a music video to that. Alex did some of the choreography in that with the Connecticut ballet dancers. You can see it on our website is parkinsonswellnessproject.org, and click on music video. It's a beautiful music video, and it's really a tribute to care partners everywhere. His wife and kids, Arlen's wife and kids, are very involved in his life, and he wrote this beautiful song about it.
Mhm.
And we need all the care partners out there, and
Oh,
we need
yeah.
the care partners to be healthy.
Yeah, and we need supporters also.
Yeah.
So for the Parkinson's Wellness Project, for any person with Parkinson's out there, they need all the support we can give them. So, and Alex, your story, it's amazing. It's very inspirational. So thank you so much for sharing with us today. Keep dancing. So you do you do like classical ballet, or because you were just saying before that it could be any type of music too.
Well, my class is based on ballet, jazz, musical theater, tap dancing. It's
Skiing, rowing,
rowing,
boating. Yeah.
Yeah, it's all the kind of movements that we're familiar with, because a ballet class, it's difficult enough for anybody, but for people with Parkinson's, a pure ballet class would be almost impossible.
Mhm.
So you have to kind of channel the movements to accommodate different symptoms and conditions and the things that Parkinson's presents for us. And we figured it out actually by teaching class with your phenomenal organization. I learned so much in the last 3 years that I fine-tuned the class even more. And you can do it lying down, you can do it sitting, or you can do it standing. And it's essentially the same class that people can do in whatever condition they're in.
Right. It's good for care partners too. It's good for everybody.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's fun to dance. I love to dance. I don't know how to dance, especially not ballet, but it's
So
good.
that is on Thursdays at 5 p.m., but not today because we're having our event, and also Wednesdays at 9:30.
Yeah.
Yeah, those are our 2 classes that Alex teaches.
That's amazing. Yeah, that's great. Well, thank you so much for sharing. Don't forget, if you want to learn more about Parkinson's, tonight is this event at the Crown Plaza. in
5 o'clock. 5 o'clock. Yeah.
Okay, in the Crown Plaza here in Rockland. So you're all invited and you're all welcome to attend and, you know, meet heroes in person. Really, that's what we have here today. So thank you so much, Susan, and thank you so much, Alex. It's been really a pleasure to meet you. I will see you tonight again.
Yeah.
And to all of our attendees and to Michelle Miller, who she actually has a wellness center, it's a wholeness center in Valley Cottage, and she sent a comment that she's happy to learn about the PWP because, you know, she has a lot of people there that come to her and she needed this information. So thanks for letting us know, Michelle. And same for you guys, you know, you can start establishing some partnerships here because you said it before, it's dance, massage, stress, relaxation, all of those things that you need. So it's nice when you start creating community and putting some resources together for people who really need it. And that's really the purpose of community chats and everything that we do here in Community Health and Wellness at Montefiore is to be able to create, you know, those partnerships so that everybody is healthy and well and happy. You know, if you're healthy and well, you're happy. And what's better than happy people? Nothing. So thank you so much. And thank you to our attendees for being with us today. Next week, we're going to have a very interesting topic. It's finding a needle in a high stack. So we're going to be talking about acupuncture and how it works, where it comes from, all of about acupuncture. So you're more than welcome and invited. And again, as I always tell you every week, I say, if you find this information useful and you know somebody who like to watch this information, it's gonna live in the YouTube channel, Community Chats Montefiore Nyack. So please invite them to see the recordings and invite them to see the live events every Thursday at 12. And we're gonna be putting more and more things together for you guys, for everybody out there. So thank you again. And we're getting some thank yous as well here from our attendees. And I will see you soon. Take care.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thanks, Sandra.